Welcome to Rock and Blues Review, where we are very happy to be talking once again with one of the globe's hottest artists in blues rock today, the dynamic Anthony Gomes. Welcome, Anthony.
Hey, it's great to be here, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking to you. You're just coming off such a crazy busy year. Uh, how's it going for you?
Um, it's really weird to be 55 and have your career just starting. You know, I mean, we've been doing this, of course, a long time, but um, truthfully, in the 25 or plus years we've been doing this, most of them have been very humble and, touring the world, but to the same 75 or 100 people uh, at every venue. But in the last couple of years, boy, it's just exploded. And it looks like even bigger things on the horizon. So we feel very grateful, super energized, and and just really excited, man, for the future. And one of our goals, I think you're in Canada, right? So I see 905 area code.
Yeah,
Where are you? Where are you
uh,
located?
Niagara.
Okay, awesome. So we got to get one of our goals is to play more in Canada. We got to get, um, as a proud Canadian, we got to get there more often. And again, excited to be talking with you and to our people internationally and also our homies in Canada.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I want to talk to you. I mean, I'm looking at your schedule and you're just all over the world and busy, busy. And I thought, geez, it'd be nice to have a connection back to Canada, Niagara for even for this discussion. But, I did see you in Kitchener and it was nice to see you there. And, one of the things we do at the Canal Bank Shuffle was I always wish artists that next year you're so big we can't afford you, and I think you're one of the few guys to actually pull that off.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's a good problem to have.
Well, let's just look at and the newest album taken off everywhere, and like you mentioned, it didn't just happen overnight. But Praise the Loud is what best blues album beyond the Vibe Award, #2 album and Blues Rock Review, best of 2025 classic rock drops, #1 in Amazon, #1 in iTunes. Like just crazy busy, crazy success.
Yeah. And we couldn't do it without the fans, uh, because truth be told, we don't fit into a nice box. We're not, we're this weird, uh, redheaded stepchild, and people don't know what to do with us in the industry. And we're too rock for blues, we're too blues for rock. And some people in the blues world like their blues more traditional. Um, and we don't check a lot of the boxes for them, which I understand. But at the same time, the fans said, "No, man, we will get behind this artist." And I think it's an example of we're an act that didn't fit in, um, but the fan base really pushed for us, and that's allowed us to stand out. And we're, I mean, I'm probably going to overuse the word grateful, but we are for our fans because we've done this for a long time, and we know we wouldn't be who we are without them.
Yeah. And we did talk about that before too, that blues rock connection. And the last interview I did with you, I mentioned that you seem to deliberately set up that drama, which is excellent because that's what makes good drama, conflict. And you lean into it.
Yeah, true, true. And I'm not going to be. I'm. Mama didn't raise no victim, but true speak. We've been nominated once in 2012 for a Canadian Blues Award.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had how many #1 Billboard Blues records? We've
Right.
been nominated for how many Blues Music Awards in Memphis?
Right.
Close your eyes. There's the number.
Yeah.
So it's not drama. It's like it's wanting to be a part of a club that doesn't want you. So um, I wouldn't say that and I'm not complaining. I'm not, there's bigger problems in the world. But as an artist, a lot of times those things can really help you. And, one of our goals in 2026 is like, we played Winnipeg last year for the first time. And that, aside from Vancouver, that's the furthest west we had been was Thunder Bay, and I was so happy to play in Winnipeg. I can't tell you, I might as well have been playing Madison Square Garden in New York City. I was so excited because for me, it was a stepping stone to get out to Saskatchewan, to get out to Alberta, I think I played 42 states um, in the United States and 17 countries, but I haven't played in Saskatchewan or Alberta. I haven't played Calgary. I have nieces that live in Calgary and I haven't played there, so I want to get there. Um, and sometimes winning those awards or even being nominated, it allows your agent to say, hey, take a chance on these guys. They just won the best blues album of the year, Um, but that hasn't been the path for us. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, yeah, but I see what you're saying. We're not afraid to not necessarily create conflict, but um, to wear our rejection as a badge of honor.
Well,
You know,
no, I don't see it as rejection. I see it as a real dynamic that, like you said, works for you. It's surprising you haven't been out west. Um, but the first time I saw you was in Tremblant a number of years ago, and to me, looking back, that was kind of a crossroads because I think you did three sets and ever increasingly sized stages. And now looking back, it's almost like that crossroads where you're deciding that you're going to be who you want to be. And you talked about that in Kitchener. You gave some advice to the young people about, doing what you want to do, chasing your dreams.
yeah, I think that I got a lot of pushback, and I can understand. There's so many confusing things in the blues world. And I'm gonna share some things that well, maybe I should or shouldn't share. But even when I was being courted by blues labels in, let's say, 20 years ago, they'd say you can't sell any records playing blues, so don't play blues. These were blues labels telling me. I won't say which ones, but they're like, and these are big blues labels, so don't play blues. And then if you veer a little bit more on the rock side, they go, well, that's not blues. You're
Right.
like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I think as a young artist, you want to please people. You want to be successful. You want people to like what you do. And it's not being disingenuous, Bob. I think like how you may speak differently with your mom and dad than you do with your best friend. You know, and your mom and dad may be your best friends, but you're going to speak to them differently. It's not like you're disingenuous. It's just more or less you're pushing a different side of your personality in a natural way. Or you may have a friend that's really funny, and then you start cracking more jokes, that you wouldn't otherwise. It just brings out a different side of what's there. And I think I was doing that with music where I was really pushing down the rock side of things. And then I just realized, I love Black Sabbath as much as BB King. Like BB King is my North Star. He's my guy. Um, but it's okay, it's okay to not fit in. And it's okay when people will tell you that you won't be successful for doing it. I remember the last gig I played in um, it was in Streetsville in Mississauga before I moved to the States. And I did a little finger tapping on the guitar, which is sort of like a rock technique. And one of the guys was there. He said, when you move to Chicago, you can't do that. you know? And I didn't for a while. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, what are they going to do that they haven't already done? so,
Yeah, but I don't think it's hurt you at all. I think that at the end of the day, people enjoy really tune into genuineness, and you're
yes.
doing what you want to do. I mean, I've seen them give Kim Simmons shit for the same thing, where he had kind of a rock day going, right? And
Yeah.
but you look at people like Jeff Beck, Bonnie Raitt, Robin Trower. these guys have solid faith in their fans because they are genuine and they stay true to themselves.
What an excellent point, Bob. I think that that's the lesson that I learned. Like, if you're true to yourself, Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. If you're true to yourself, whether you're playing polka with blues or, you know, thrash metal and Celtic music or whatever mishmash is what you truly are in your spirit, people will accept it without the confines of a genre because it will be a fresh, honest interpretation of what your soul is saying. And even as an artist, that can change with time. And your audience may or may not like where you're headed, but they like the old stuff or whatever. But they'll respect you for being true, and they'll still follow you. They may say, oh, we don't like this album. Um, I've done that with certain artists too. Well, I don't like the new record, but I'm still going to go see them live, and I still love the back catalog. And then on the next record, it's this is my favorite record they've done. You respect their journey because it's coming from a place of integrity. Um, but yeah, I think that's an excellent point, Bob, that you make. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I said, when you're speaking to the audience, and when I interviewed you before, you are genuine. There's no platitudes there. You're speaking from the heart, and that comes through. And people definitely tune into that. And I don't think that even the hardcore blues fan worry about 12 bar blues. They're not worried about the pentatonic scale or the construction, but they definitely tune into the emotion of it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And that's what drew me to blues in the first place. I was a classic rock guy, uh, you know, but yeah, I started hearing that blues sound, and what is that? What is that? And
Yeah, yeah. What was the first thing that got you? Like
actually, it
first,
was deep. It was actually Deep Purple, which
nice.
not particularly bluesy compared to some other bands, but songs like "Place in Line" and "Lazy" were
Yeah,
definitely caught my ear and said, and that bluesy sound.
yeah. You loved the blues before you knew you loved the blues because you were listening to rock and all that stuff in rock that was bluesy was the thing that was tripping your trigger. So I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah. Now, you've talked, I've seen you talk before about, speaking to BB King and him, spending time with you and offering you some advice. Do you think that's what triggered you to be the same? You're willing to give your time, you're willing to offer advice.
Man, BB King was such an influence and an inspiration in so many ways, Bob. I was going to college. I was at the University of Toronto, and my parents were very old school and very they supported me, but they were very, very reluctant to support a career in the arts. Um, and it was like they were hoping it was a passing phase that I was going through. So I was going to school because I really dug going to school, but it was almost also a secondary plan to sort of kill time while music would sort of happen. But it was going slower than desired. And when I met BB, he was so supportive that the next day I told my mom and dad, I want to be a musician. I want to do this. And because I felt like if BB King took the time to meet with me and talk with me, and I was good enough for him, then I was good enough for anybody, you know. And just the advice that he gave me, I still use today. Um, just the kindness. I think what BB understood was that music is bigger than any one artist, and even any one genre, and it's so important to nurture the new generation because all of us are only here for a minute, but the music endures. And we've got to keep it going and keep inspiring people and teaching them. And it, it, it was the greatest privilege of my life to tour with him, to meet him on several occasions, to have his many conversations, sit down and have his advice, to witness the greatest of all time, the king, and to see this guy being so humble that none of us had an excuse to fall short of that standard. And what a high standard he set. and I'm doing my best to live up to that standard. It may be an impossibility uh, to be as gracious as he is, but I'm sure going to give it everything I got.
So, what in your past made you actually take the time to think about that stuff? Because a lot of people just miss it and they don't bother with it. You tuned into it, you ran with it. What is different about your past that made you understand and carry on?
Um, well, one thing is before I met BB, um, I wrote my master's degree thesis at the University of Toronto on the racial evolution of blues music. And I guess as a Canadian young Caucasian artist, which is like three adjectives that you wouldn't use to describe a blues artist, I was trying to understand my place in the music. How did I fit in? And in my studies, I realized just how much BB had done to bring legitimacy to the music. You know, that's why he dressed up. He would intentionally play shows uh, in cities that were, let's say, geographically segregated. So, a certain ethnicity lived on the north side and a certain lived in the south side. Well, he'd play a show kind of right in the middle to try to draw, uh, to be as inclusive as possible. He was so supportive of different styles of blues. Um, you know, and I think a couple of things because I've had a lot of resistance. One at home, one you know, when I told my parents that I wanted to be a blues artist and a musician, they basically said, "Welcome to Fantasyland." So to have that support was one. Also, the fact that I chose a genre that I loved, blues, that I didn't fit into in a neat box. I didn't check the boxes in terms of my own style, my own sound, uh, uh, um, uh, anything. And there was a lot of resistance there. But BB said he took a long time to explain how he didn't fit in and how Thrill Is Gone had strings on it. And people criticized him for that not being blues. But um, he said that the blues were like the laws of the land. They had to be amended to suit the times we lived in. And I think because I had a lot of criticism starting out and so often that that became my North Star and that became um, the reason to keep doing this thing. Because when you're an artist, it takes a very thick skin, you know. Um, the compliments you receive sort of flow off of you very easily, you know. The criticism stabs like a knife right to the heart, and you have to wear your suit of armor when you go to social media and look at these posts,
Mm.
and it's like, you are the best singer I have ever heard in my life. Next comment, you are the worst singer. Quit your job. You suck. You have bad teeth. Whatever. It's like you're ugly. Like it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But I just think back and I go, if my greatest hero said I was okay and he loved what I did and he gave me his blessing, y'all can suck a big one because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean that in metaphorically, of
Yeah.
course.
No, no. But you're doing so many things right, and it's showing, obviously. And obviously, leaving Canada, getting that bigger fan base, it's a smart move, not easy for everybody, for sure. But we talked before about I thanked you for promoting our show because a lot of the artists don't. You have a long-term uh, strategy in place for promoting, and again, a lot of musicians just don't get that. You need to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't do it in the beginning, and it's sort of like as artists we put so much faith in the product and our music, and it's everything, right? If the music isn't good, well, it's a foundation that you build your house on. If the foundation is faulty, your house isn't going to stand. But that being said, we have to look at it. It's the music business. It's not the music. It's
Right,
not the business.
right.
It's got to be a combination. And um, And look at anything else. Let's say you've made the greatest screwdriver ever invented. Okay. But nobody knows about it. Nobody's going to buy it. If it's not on the shelves at Walmart or Canadian Tire or Home Depot or something, nobody's going to buy this thing. And they're not going to go out of their way to get the world's greatest screwdriver because the one they have is pretty good
Right.
unless you let them know that it exists. And it's the same with music. You know, I remember we had these classes of philosophy in college, you know, and one question was, you know, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it really fall? You know, does it even, if nobody knows something exists, does it exist? Now, you know, that's an intellectual journey that you can take. But at the same time, if you release an album and nobody hears it, did it really exist? You know, like, and, you know, if you've got a show and you don't promote it, does anybody know you have a show? I've had friends, I live in St. Louis now, that have toured in St. Louis, like people I consider family, and I was off the road, and I would have totally like I would have gone to see my brother play. You know, I didn't know they were in town,
Right.
and they didn't bother calling me. They assumed I was on the road. But how come I didn't hear about it on social media? How come I didn't like? How come I didn't get an email on an email list? Like, you know, so yeah, you know, to any musicians watching now, there are a lot of amazing resources on YouTube. Um, you know, there's even a guy in Toronto, Chris Greenwood, Smart Music Business. Um, there's another guy, Damian Keys. You know, these are great teachers, and you don't have to take everything they say, but you can take a bit of this guy's stuff and that guy's stuff, and just research music marketing on YouTube, um, and be astounded with the growth that you can have. Um, so yeah, yeah, it's a great technology is a great thing, and it's also a scary, horrible thing. But at the same time, if we can take the best of what's out there, let's, you know, it's there for you. Musicians that are starting out, it's there.
Yeah. And they do need to take it. I think the first person I ever talked to or interviewed that was really into it was Rick Emmett, who was teaching business at college, music business. So,
Yeah, another great guitar player, boy.
yeah. Yeah. Crazy, crazy versatile too. So we talked about your long-term success and how you're doing. What about the show itself? The day of the show, what do you do the day of the
You know how they have those memes on the internet, what people think we do, you know, and it's like we're sitting at the beach, you
show?
know, and what we really do. The day of a show is going to be completely filled. Um, you know, there's probably going to be some travel that day, so a few hours. You're going to show up at the venue around 3 o'clock. You're going to load in and set up. You're going to be done at about 5:30. Then you're going to have dinner at 6. You're going to be done at 6:30. And then you're going to be backstage till showtime at 8 o'clock. Then the show's going to be done around 10. Then by the time you're done packing up and at the hotel, it's going to be midnight. Um, and then you're probably going to get up at 9, be on the road at 9:30 to go to the next venue. And it's only when you have a day off that it's exciting. So, you know, we have a 3-week tour of Europe, and you know, we have like a day off in Dublin, which will be awesome. We have a day off in Edinburgh, which will be awesome. And then we'll have a day off in Birmingham, which will be awesome. But it's 3 days off in 3 weeks of insanity and driving. And, you know, and it's hurry up and go. Hurry up. Oh my gosh, it's 9:30. Let's get to the venue. Let's get to the venue. Let's grab some lunch on the way. Okay, what are we going to grab? Um, you know, oh wow, there's traffic. We're gonna get there late. Oh God, okay, 4 o'clock. All right, let the venue know, you know. And then, you know, you just get there, you got to check into your hotels, you hurry up, you get to your hotel. Oh, there's 3 people ahead of you to check in. Okay, you got to wait for them to check in, you know. So that's the joke, musicians. It's hurry up, get there, wait, and do it. So people look at the routing and they look at it like it's a vacation, vacation, cruise, or trip. Oh, you're in Dublin. Oh, or, what sights did you see? Well, I saw the two other guys in the band for 12 hours. I saw the inside of a van. I saw the inside of a venue and the inside of my hotel, and then, you get done with the gig and if you're doing it right, you're tired.
Right.
You're tired. You're tired. You've left everything on the stage. Um, and if you're not, then you needed to work harder. So then you just go to your hotel, you relax, and you've gone from 500 people going crazy to the silence and the slight ringing in your ears in a hotel. That's the. But yeah, so that's sort of the journey. But um, so why do we do this? Why do we go through this craziness and jet lag and touring? And um, we do it because we love the people and we love the music. And there's no greater feeling than watching somebody in the audience have an emotional reaction, to your music, and you're going, you know what? Somebody here is having a tough day. Somebody here is going through some grief. Somebody might have lost their job. Somebody might have lost somebody they love. Somebody doesn't, somebody is whatever, going through some trauma or struggle. And you know what? We're going to sing a few funny, silly songs. We're going to play our hearts out. And for 2 hours, they're going to forget about their woes. And, and, and the world seems to be more and more divided. We're going to bring in an audience that's 50% of them looks at the world this way, 50% of them looks at it that way, but we're going to bring them together and we're going to forget that they disagree, and we're going to show them that at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. And I can't think of a greater calling than that. And so that is what makes it all worth it. And also, too, when I look in the audience, you know who I see? I see myself. I don't see that we're on stage and, we're playing to, I don't know, we're stars and these are common people that we're playing. No, I'm exactly like the person I'm playing to. When we're off, I'm the guy that's first in line to get into a GA show. You know what I mean? And so I could be in the front row. I'm the guy that buys the CD and the vinyl. I go to the record store, to buy it, the day it comes out. If I, even if we're on the road, I try to do that too. I'm that guy. And I'm just like them. And I get excited by music just like they do. So it's like I'm meeting my fellow freaks, my fellow, and I feel that's just such a great feeling that music has impacted us so much. A music audience is a special thing. They get music and they get that music uh, gives them so much.
Right. Right. And that's true. And again, you've taken time to think about that stuff, and maybe some people don't, and they should. I have thanked artists who have come for that very reason. Thank you for doing something that most people cannot do. And that's joy through music and lifting them up, and your audience is the stand on their feet kind of audience. You like to get them up. I'm more of a listener guy.
Right. Sorry, Bob.
No, I'm sorry because I'm not the guy leaping under my seat. I sit, but I listen.
Yeah.
So to me, I like to hear everything that's going on and pay attention. But yeah, you mentioned Ireland, so you're going to the land of Rory Gallagher, Gary Moore, and Phil Lynott.
It's so amazing, man. The Irish, all audiences are great, but the Irish and the Scottish, man, they are next level passion. They are next level. Um, First time we played in Edinburgh, I heard a story about Rush, and the first time an audience ever sang "Closer to the Heart" was in Edinburgh, and they sang the whole song. And after, that was such a moving moment for that band, and they realized that they were a global entity at that moment. These audiences research your songs. They're not going to a concert. It's like they're going to a final exam of your music. We played in Edinburgh for the first time a couple of years ago, and they were singing the entire song on several of our songs, not just the chorus, not just the whoa, whoa, whoa
Right.
part, the whole. And I was like mind blown. And they're just next level passion, man. And um, yeah, and Rory, um, and Gary Moore, as far as guitar players, Vivian Campbell too, in Dio and Def Leppard, uh, huge influences for such a small little place. Boy, they sure churned out some amazing, amazing um, music, and it's part of their everyday lives. Um, and it's cool, and it's cool to. I love the UK. I love Germany. We're going there, and it's cool because at the end of the day, these are people who are passionate about music. And there's just slight different ways that they express it, but the passion is the same. Your
Right.
passion is the same too. You're a sit down guy. You may not be doing all this, but in the inside, you're doing that, you know? And so, yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, man. And it's great. And it's fun. Um, yeah, good times, man.
And how did Sweden go for you?
Loves Sweden is, in fact, um, per capita population based, our most popular country by a long. Um, uh, Stockholm, Gothenburg are in our top 10 cities. So it was great, man. They were, again, another country with a rich musical history. Um, I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I love ABBA. I love Ghost. Yngwie Malmsteen, what a wonderful guitar player. Europe, such a wonderful pop rock, hard rock band. You know, their legacy is amazing, and their blues musicians are tremendous and great country.
Yeah, and I singled them out because, like I said, I saw you in Kitchener, and I also saw the John Lindberg trio there from Sweden, and they
Yeah,
were incredible. So I actually interviewed John, and I told him to make sure that he went and saw you when you got there.
it's so funny because he did, and we had dinner and sat next to each other.
Really?
And he said, I've heard about you. People are talking about you. So it was you. And they were awesome, man. I love them. And of course, you've got Max Martin and that whole machine there in Sweden. Yeah, man. They're such a rich musical, melodic, such a great understanding of melody. And I love the Swedish philosophy too. There's of humility. Yeah, it's really a cool thing, man. A great country, great artists, and this music is a global phenomenon, and it's great to have people that come from all these little different places, you know, and then you meet on the global stage. You know, it's a cool thing.
And how do you must have to, make adjustments on the fly when you build the show itself, because like I said, you're higher energy, high voltage, people on their feet, but you got to throw in, the odd slow blues tune, you know, something from your albums and that may not work every night. So how do you adjust on the go?
Interesting. So, what a great question, Bob. What a great question. Thank you. I think it's a two-part philosophy. One is we make adjustments if we feel the thing that dictates adjustments is not so much musical taste. And I'll expand upon that. In the past, I've tried to tailor our show to please our audience. Oh boy, we got a bunch of blues purists in the crowd. We better play Stormy Monday and all this stuff. I no longer do that. I sort of do this. Love or hate me, here I am. And that takes a lot of courage. But what we do, and man, nothing is cooler than playing a slow blues. Like, you know, um, but what we do is that if an environment dictates something, we'll change it. So if we're playing a small, intimate room, well, then maybe we can story tell a little bit more. We can bring things down, and then we can milk that slow blues. And because, you know, you can see everybody in the audience. It's a 300 cap room, 250. You can see everybody. If you're playing the Kitchener Blues Fest, oh man, you better put the gas on the pedal and go, because you got to reach Sally and Johnny that are 300 rows back, and that energy's got to reach them. So in that way, we'll modify things. But I will say this: we serve two things: the music and the fans. And I've seen some people who I really respect, and I respect their point of view, that they say, look, and it's very Buddhist, right? Um, you have to just serve yourself and your artistic needs. Otherwise, if you serve the audience, that's commerce and that's not art.
Hmm.
And I understand that, and I respect that point of view. And I'm probably saying the same thing, but it's the other side of the coin. I put myself last. I don't consider I serve the music and I serve the audience. And sometimes serving the audience means serving the music, which means they may not like this, but it's important for me to play this because the music is telling me to. I am 100% a servant of the music and the people. The people pay their money to come and see us. And damn it, if they want to hear this song that I am sick of playing, I'm
Yeah.
going to freaking play this song because they paid $40 to see us. And I'm going to put on my big boy pants and I'm going to find the love in that moment of playing this song. And because of that, I will love playing the song. I wouldn't play it at home
Right.
on my acoustic guitar, but in that moment, that love that we're receiving is going to transcend any fatigue I have of playing the song. Yeah, I've eaten lasagna 300 days in a row, but I'm going to eat it again today because the chef is so excited about having prepared it. Um, Serving the music. I don't sit in my calendar and go, on Wednesday between
Right.
3:30 and
Right.
4:30, I'm going to write a song.
Right.
And this is no. Music comes knocking at 3:30 in the morning and goes, hey, guess what? Here's a song. Do you want to receive it? And you're like, oh God, let me get up. Let me go into my phone and,
Right.
start writing this song. And then, you go back to bed, or at the most inconvenient time, inspiration strikes. And music lets you know that you are its servant and it is the master. And the moment that you try to serve your own self-interest, I think you're losing the that you're a receiver of something. Yeah, it's Luther Allison used to say, um, live the music, love the people, lose the ego. And another great teacher, so um yeah, that's our philosophy, and since day one, because we had great teachers to show us those things.
Yeah, you'd be amazed at how many people I've talked to have mentioned Luther Allison.
Man, he was so profound, and had he not passed away, he was just about to break huge. I mean, they were even calling him the new king of the blues. Um, and uh, oh man, he was a special person that, unfortunately, his time in the spotlight was uh, short lived, and I can only imagine the great music he would have made. Um, Much like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but Luther was another guy, that had his success in his 50s. So
Well, you're certainly deserving of it. And like I said, I mean, you seem to just have a great attitude, a great plan, a lot of introspection going into what you're doing. I can tell, you're not just glittering through this stuff, and it makes a difference. People get it.
well, thank you. And we're so grateful that they are. And our audience gives my life, my passion, and my love of music purpose. It's the reason I exist.
Wow. Well, that is great. And so I will thank you so much for doing this. Like, really appreciate the time, and hopefully, yeah, we'll get to see you again when you stop globe trotting.
Yeah, man, that would be great. And Bob, thank you so much for um, making this interview so great, so relaxed. The questions you asked were not questions I get asked often. And because of that, I wouldn't stop talking. So thank you for that. I just had a really great time, and I'm in such a good mood after speaking today with you. So, and thank you for all you do for the music and taking this time. I've been so crazy busy. Just so the audience knows, man, Bob was on me to like, can we do it here? Can we do it here? And I'd get stuck on these avalanches of emails, but he stuck with it, and I'm so grateful for that, and so grateful for our time.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. And like I said, hopefully we will talk again soon. And anytime you need something in this area, by all means, let me know.
Thank you,
All right.
man. Take care, brother, and have a wonderful year in
Thanks.
2026.
You too. Take care.